This is Worldwide Classic. I'm Southside Tre. Let's get straight to it. First order of business today is I saw an article where former WWE superstar Braun Strowman said that he felt like he would rule the world if the WWE just let him be. And you know what? I tend to agree, 1000%. It's confusing to me. And a lot of times I just don't know what to make of it because it seems like I'm reading stupid article after stupid article and they don't add up. Braun Strowman is 1000% correct. Why is the WWE getting in its own way? I thought the objective was to create superstars in professional wrestling. When you look at a man like Braun Strowman, professional wrestler or a fighter is the first thing that should come to your mind when you see a guy like that. You don't have a lot of giants and monsters in the WWE. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that one of the things that pro wrestling was built on? Having guys that were larger than life and people that you just wouldn't see on any given day. Again, Braun Strowman is one of these individuals. He's somebody that stands out from a mile away. This is why he made an immediate impact with the Wyatt family when he first made his debut in the WWE. The Wyatt family was built on that, being original, standing out from the crowd, looking crazy as hell basically. Braun Strowman was a 10 out of 10 for that character and for that group. And ever since then, you saw how limited he was in the WWE. It's the year 2025. The WWE has been around for almost 50 years now. We've seen every type of formula work. I grew up in the 90s where a lot of people consider the Attitude Era the golden era in professional wrestling. You can debate it if you want to or not. Some people say numbers don't lie. And by those calculations, you had guys back in those days like The Big Show, aka The Giant, when he was in WCW. He's a legend in professional wrestling. And I guess in a weird way, this is why Braun Strowman isn't being valued the correct way. Because the WWE didn't properly value The Big Show and what he meant to the business. WWE originally started off the backs of guys like Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant personifies what it means to be a professional wrestler. A larger-than-life character, and he was able to play both sides of the fence as a good guy and a villain. And the work that he did with Hulk Hogan helped put WrestleMania and WWE on the map permanently. Just about 10 years later, professional wrestling was lucky enough to find somebody like Paul White, aka The Big Show. And a lot of people thought that he was related to Andre the Giant. That was one of the things that captivated wrestling fans about The Big Show. Everybody was wondering if this man was really related to Andre the Giant. So just off the mystery of that, Big Show instantly became a star. And I could argue the fact that The Big Show has been limited in pro wrestling altogether, whether it's WCW or WWE, because I think they haven't used The Big Show to his full potential. And we started to see a little bit of that towards the end of his run in WWE. To me, that company didn't do The Big Show any favors. And even towards the end of his run in WWE, it was almost like they were trying to embarrass him on TV. They had a lot of angles with Stephanie McMahon involved, and they were trying to belittle The Big Show, making him seem weak and soft. That we know isn't the case. And they should know better than that. That's why it's no surprise that they just let him go over to AEW as if it was another day in the office. That's why they just let him go to AEW as if it was no big deal at all. And even to this day for me, that kind of shows the unprofessionalism the WWE has. Let's not forget about examples such as when Mickie James was released from the company and the WWE took it upon themselves to pack her belongings up in trash bags. So I don't want people to get me or the WWE confused as a company that always shows class. And somehow, even though an athlete like The Big Show that had 100% commitment in the pro wrestling business pretty much get treated like he didn't mean much to the business at all. So you gotta forgive me for going back there to bring us back to where we are now. It's just that I still have PTSD from a lot of dumbass decisions that the WWE have made. And now back to our main point, Braun Strowman was another one of those dumb decisions. Recently, I talked about Jade Cargill and how I don't think she gets enough credit, how she went to a brand new wrestling company in AEW and she was a brand new wrestler that had never been on national TV. And in less than no time, she almost made herself a household name amongst certain households. So much to the point that the WWE rolled out the red carpet for Jade Cargill. I've rarely seen the WWE give that type of credit to a new wrestler from a rival wrestling company. So as far as I'm concerned, Jade Cargill got this shit out the mud. Her superstardom in pro wrestling. I feel the same way about Braun Strowman. I don't think the WWE ever did him any real justice in his entire run in that company. And yes, I'm aware that Braun Strowman was the WWE champion at one point. It just doesn't matter because the title run wasn't worth a damn. It didn't mean anything and it didn't make any type of impact. No high profile matches come to mind when I think about Braun Strowman being the WWE champion. It was just a wasted run. And to make matters worse, it happened during the pandemic WrestleMania. So his championship victory against Goldberg pretty much went unnoticed. Because if that happened in front of a live crowd, I think we're looking at Braun Strowman in a different light. It was a time where I thought they were building Braun Strowman to be a long-term rival for Roman Reigns. Because that's what was happening. They had a few encounters that I thought was pretty good. And it was really showing me that Braun Strowman has some potential in the WWE. And credit Roman Reigns for that as well. I bet any amount of money, if you were to ask him, I think Roman Reigns was pulling for Braun Strowman to be a big star in the WWE. Because come to find out, he has the star quality. He has the personality. When I was mentioning the Big Show, it was the segue into this point. Braun Strowman has all of those qualities and attributes that Big Show brought to the table. Almost the exact same thing when you really pay attention to it. Even this part. Does anybody remember when the Giant, aka Big Show, was in WCW? He was with the Dungeon of Doom, which was just pretty much this weird group of characters with dark personalities. And when pro wrestling did groups like that back in those days, that mean that these guys barely had anything to say on the microphone then. That's why they were presented as monsters. This was to give them an excuse not to say anything. And you could add the Giant to that list. The Ultimate Warrior had more things to say than everybody in the Dungeon of Doom. I think Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, was the spokesperson for that group. And then the Big Show slowly but surely started to be able to structure sentences every now and then. And this is not me saying that it's the Big Show's fault. This is how pro wrestling treated their giants. All they could think about doing with these characters was copying some Frankenstein bull. Monsters with no real intelligence. And isn't that ironic how that's the exact blueprint that they use for Braun Strowman? The same things that they had the Big Show doing in WCW in his early career, they had Braun Strowman doing the exact same thing in the Wyatt family, almost 15 years later. And when you look at the way that Braun Strowman's career has ended, it's almost the exact way that the Big Show career ended. This is why I'm even including the Big Show so much in this topic, because it's almost like professional wrestling / WWE is running from the exact same playbook. I've said it 1,000 times by now. That creative team is one of the worst we've ever seen. And it's a damn disgrace that those people get to sit in those rooms and be a part of something as great as pro wrestling. And the fact that they will refurbish and use a dusty playbook from the past to try to make new superstars, why do these people still have jobs? To make matters much worse and surprising, Paul Heyman was even going back and forth with Braun Strowman. Maybe just a month ago, back and forth on the internet. I was surprised by that because I thought that was just a part of a storyline. I thought maybe this could be something that they were doing just to trick the fans to find a new way to reintroduce Braun Strowman back into the WWE. That still could be the case at some point. I'm a little bit shocked and disappointed in Paul Heyman because he's saying things about Braun Strowman that I feel like he's responsible for. Paul Heyman had just got a promotion as lead creative in WWE around the time that Braun Strowman had his solo career. Now, to give Paul Heyman credit real quick, in the interest of fairness, there was one particular spot with Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, and they had a street fight that resulted in both of these guys crashing out and throwing each other through the entire set, which I gotta admit, I thought it was a pretty good spot. And I was excited to see this happen for Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley at that time. So I thought Paul Heyman was really on to something, only to be disappointed in the long run, because that was the only highlight for Braun Strowman. I wish that I knew the things the WWE thinks is lacking from Braun Strowman, because from what I see, he has the appearance, he has the agility, he has the personality, and most importantly, you could tell that he had the will to want to learn. He wanted to be better at this craft. And you could tell that he was a coachable guy, because once you see his personality, he's really just a humble guy from the South. And these are the type of people that you want to surround yourself with in that business. You want the type of people that don't have an ego. So for Paul Heyman, of all people, to be going back and forth with Braun Strowman, what accountability does he take for Braun Strowman not reaching his maximum potential? Or are we just going to be childish and say that it's all on Braun Strowman, even though he had never been in professional wrestling until he was on WWE TV? Think about that statement. How many times can you say that about any other athlete in that company? You don't just see guys off the street all of a sudden being a part of the Wyatt family. It just doesn't happen. So give this man the credit where credit is due. This is why I'm just a little bit disappointed again with Paul Heyman, because I think Paul Heyman is a genius when it comes to pro wrestling. But I will admit, Paul Heyman is a part of this creative team that have been doing some of the dumbest shit in wrestling for the past year or so. I'm so much of a Paul Heyman fan, I always let him off the hook for some reason, because I feel like his direction doesn't get utilized that much in WWE. But I'm starting to think that's just me giving Paul Heyman too much credit, because for him to say anything regarding Braun Strowman, this is a failure on your part, sir. You were directly a part of Braun Strowman's development. I know people like to think that Paul Heyman has hit a home run with every wrestler that he's worked with, but that's only when you don't do your homework. There have been a few wrestlers that it didn't work with Paul Heyman. Guys like Cesaro, which I really can't understand that one at all. You could almost mirror that to this Braun Strowman situation. What excuse was there for Cesaro not to succeed in WWE? Especially when you have Paul Heyman as the manager. I even remember a time when Paul Heyman came out and made an introduction and a statement that Curtis Axel will be the next big star in WWE, and that we would talk about him for the next 10 years. And this is not completely paraphrasing. These were actual things that Paul Heyman said. Where the hell is Curtis Axel now? And salute to Curtis Axel, because towards the end of his career, he did start to get over with the fans. But it wasn't because of Paul Heyman. It's because of what Braun Strowman had said in this article. The WWE just let Curtis Axel be himself. And that seems to have been good enough for the WWE universe, because alongside Bo Dallas, both of those guys started to make an impact on their own and organically. Now I want to make one more comparison between Braun Strowman and The Big Show. It's ironic that I'm even comparing the two, because one time these two guys had a match on Monday Night Raw. And this was one of those times where both of those guys surprised the hell out of me, because Braun Strowman and Big Show had an exchange in that match where they were wrestling like cruiserweights. I'm not sure what this sequence is called, but this is a thing that technical wrestlers and cruiserweights are known to do in their matches. The Big Show even did a few moves in that sequence that I've never seen the Big Show do ever in his career. This man had already been wrestling for about 20 years, and I never knew he even had agility like that. And these are two of the biggest wrestlers in the business. Neither one of them are in the WWE right now. If Braun Strowman could move like that and still compete like a monster, then how come the WWE can't make him a star? Braun Strowman is about to have his own TV show, and I guarantee he's going to show the world the qualities, the attributes, and the personality that's about to make him a star with or without the WWE.